So I saw this video online saying that you don't have to pay taxes. Of course, it was on TikTok, and I'm going to actually break down specifically what that meant and why people out here are telling you that, because this isn't the first time I've seen this. So the most important thing behind this conversation is making sure you know the law. The second most important thing is making sure you follow me. So hitting the subscribe button below, because I deliver the best personal finance content in the game. So in the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1 states, the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, to pay the debts, and provide the common defense and general welfare of the United States. And on February 3rd, 1913, the 16th Amendment was made to the Constitution, which states, the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on income from whatever source derived without appointment among the several states and without regard to any census or enumeration. And a few other points are the sources of taxable income are identified in the code under Section 61, gross income defined. The list of sources under the section is not all-inclusive. Also, Section 6702 of the code authorizes the IRS to impose a $5,000 penalty against people who submit frivolous tax return or other documents. So that begs the question, do you actually have to pay tax? Let's walk through some of the myths out there. So I'm going to go through the 6 most common myths that you might have heard out there, and we're going to talk about the actual myth itself and then actually the truth behind it. Constitutional myth number 1, filing a Form 1040 violates the 5th Amendment right against self-incrimination on the 4th Amendment right to privacy. Filing also violates the 13th Amendment right against the involuntary servitude and 1st Amendment rights based on moral or religious beliefs. So the courts have actually done this for a long period of time, and they've never found the disclosure of this private information, as they say, as an issue that violates the right of privacy. Also, the courts have found that the 1st and 13th Amendment did not give people the right to not adhere to federal tax compliance. So that myth is busted. Number 2 is the Internal Revenue Code myth. The filing and paying of tax is voluntary. The code doesn't apply to me because I'm neither a government employee nor a resident of a sovereign state. So the term voluntary compliance actually means that we're responsible to pay tax and also the right amount. However, Section 6012 does define that people that make below a certain amount do not have to file tax returns. And as you know, our tax system is based on self-assessment and reporting, but compliance with tax laws are still mandatory. The third myth is a frivolous credit myth. And this states that African and Native Americans can claim a special tax credit as reparations for slavery and other oppressive treatment. This is not something I made up. This is online and specifically stated. And there's no provision in the code that allows taxpayers to claim reparation credits. Number 4 is compensation myths. Wages, tips, and other compensation received for personal services are not income because there is no taxable gain when a person exchanges labor for money. This argument has consistently been dismissed by all courts. And as we talked about the sources of taxable income in code under Section 61, gross income is defined. So unless there's a specific reason as to why these wouldn't be included, they should be included in taxable income. The next myth is a fictional legal basis, where taxpayers are not required to file a federal income tax return because the instructions and regulations associated with the Form 1040 do not display on an OMB control number as required by the Paperwork Reduction Act. So the courts have rejected this on numerous occasions. And this applies to forms themselves, not the actual instructional booklets. Because Form 1040 doesn't actually have a control number, there is no violation of this. And the last but not least is the trust myth, where forming a business trust to hold your income and assets will avoid taxes. A family estate trust will allow you to reduce or eliminate your tax liability. And the truth is, establishing a trust to hide your assets and income is literally illegal and not exempt from tax. And so it's not going to absolve you from your tax liability. And so now that we have clarity on those 6 tax myths of how you don't have to pay taxes, you need to stop listening to TikTok and you need to listen to Budgetdog. So therefore, go ahead and subscribe below to make sure you're following my page, because we come out with a video every single Monday covering in-depth personal finance topics, and that we make it easy to understand so that in layman's terms, everybody gets it and we can actually make progress. And with that being said, I will see you next Monday.